The old relationship we had with the United States, based on deepening integration of our economies and tight security and military cooperations, is over. It's my solemn promise that when President Trump threatens us again, we will fight back.
Let's shift our focus to North America, to two nations that have been through thick and thin, but now their relationship may never be the same again. I'm talking about the US and Canada, once the closest of allies, but not anymore, all thanks to US President Donald Trump. You know that the US President is imposing tariffs soon on almost everyone. D-Day is the 2nd of April, or as Trump calls it, Liberation Day. On Wednesday, Trump confirmed one of the many tariffs that he is imposing. He said he will be imposing 25% duties on cars and car parts. And he made no secret about who he is targeting.
But this is very exciting to me. This is the automobile industry, and this will continue to spur growth like you haven't seen. Before I was elected, we were losing all of our plants. They were being built in Mexico and Canada and other places.
Canada is livid. Their new Prime Minister, Mark Carney, took a while to respond to this move, but when he did so last night, it was especially grim. Listen to what he said.
Yesterday, in the latest salvo in his trade war, President Trump again imposed unjustified tariffs on our nation in violation of our existing trade agreements. And our response to these latest tariffs is to fight, is to protect, and to build. It's my solemn promise that when President Trump threatens us again, we will fight back. We will fight back with everything we have to get the best deal for Canada. We will build an independent future for our country, stronger than ever. The old relationship we had with the United States, based on deepening integration of our economies and tight security and military cooperations, is over.
He says the old US-Canada relationship is over. That's quite the statement. You might even think it's uncalled for. After all, Trump says he just wants to move car plants back to the US. And he plans to do this by making foreign cars unaffordable. Here's how his tariffs will work. If a car is made in another country, US importers will have to pay 25% of the cost as tariff, just so they can sell it in the US. That is how tariffs work. They are a tax on American importers, and this additional cost will get passed on to the customer. Basically, Trump is making imported products costlier in the hope that this will force Americans to buy local. That's the tariff logic in a nutshell. And it seems like an attack on all foreign automobile firms, not just Canadian ones. The tariffs seem to be indiscriminate, but that's not the case. The car tariffs will hurt Canada a lot more than other nations. You see, the American and Canadian automobile industries are interconnected. There's barely anything like a purely American car anymore, or a purely Canadian one for that matter. Each car keeps crossing the border during manufacturing multiple times. And this is because of an old agreement. The Canada-United States Automotive Products Agreement from 1965. This deal allowed free movement of auto parts between the two countries. It encouraged them to integrate their car industries. It was a way for both countries to grow together, and things have been that way for about 60 years. But Trump's car tariffs will undo 6 decades of partnership. Canada's auto workers will come under attack from what was once its closest ally. That is why Canada is furious, and that is why Carney said the old relationship is over. He said part of it was based on deepening economic integration. But think about it today. Canada now knows that this integration is a weakness, one that can be exploited by the US. Whenever the next Trump-like president is elected, Ottawa may have never considered the possibility before, but it will now. The US elected Donald Trump not once but twice, which means they can elect a Trump clone in the future too. So the integrated economy will always be Canada's Achilles heel. Would you be willing to keep such vulnerability around? Of course not. You wouldn't want to develop it in the first place, but Canada was naive. They really did not believe the US would do this to them. They may have been partners forever, blood brothers, quite literally. I used the phrase D-Day earlier in the story. That is the day the Americans landed in Normandy during the Second World War. That's the day they officially entered the war in Europe. And guess who was with them, spilling blood side by side? It was the Canadians. That is why Ottawa never thought that this day would come. That's also why Carney said their tight security and military cooperation is over. Carney and Trump had a call today. But it probably won't change the Canadian leader's mind, because as far as he's concerned, after everything their countries have been through, Trump and the Americans have stabbed Canada in the back, and there is no way to recover from that.
Greeting you with aloha and namaste.
I love India.
Presence, occupation of a territory by another country pertains to India, what we saw in Kashmir.
The Prime Minister Modi.
How do you see Trump's America?
Yes, the current administration behaves differently from the previous administration.
Are you saying that there are foreign powers who are trying to bring down the current government in Syria?
Exactly.
Bluntly, Iran, maybe Russia too.
Prime Minister Modi committed to South-South, cooperation.
Not over 50%.
Is Ukraine prepared to pay the price for that peace?
No compromises at the cost of territorial integrity and sovereignty.